All right, what's up, you guys? This is Devin from CenturyFX Studios, and we're back with another video. And today, for our photography A to Z segment, we're going to be talking about the letter C, and C stands for CF card. Those of you who do not know what CF stands for compact flash. The compact side says, okay, well, it's a small card. Of course, it's doing a lot of things in a small format. But then that flash part says that it's storing images and storing memory, reading and writing on a flash-based memory process, which basically means that you have internals that are not moving parts, and it stores memory and writes memory a lot faster. All right, so in this flash-based memory, it's really similar to the SSD memory that we see today in a lot of newer, faster laptops. The solid-state drive is really similar to the CF card, but the CF card has a different type of interface when it comes to plugging it into the computer, and this interface becomes somewhat of a bottleneck for bigger file types and storage types. Now I'm going to get a little bit technical. Now I don't know exactly every little detail about the technical part, but I do know the difference between the CF card and the CFast card. The reason why I'm telling you this is because the CF card is one of the most unique pieces of technology as far as time is concerned. In reference to the CF card, the SD card, and the CFast card and the SQD card, the CF card is probably one of the most unique pieces of memory that you can buy on the market today. Now, even though it's starting to get phased out, it's important for us to understand why the CF card is the way that it is and why it's actually getting phased out. Because you have to think about it. The CF card was the head honcho memory card for quite a while. I mean, when you first had DSLRs, they had CF cards. Anything that was trucking a large amount of data, any professional high-end camera that you had trucking a lot of pictures in data-wise, it was using a CF card. So why now, out of all the times to be phased out, is it phased out when the form factor is right and it's trucking a lot more data than the average SD card? SD UHS-2 cards are now competing with the CF card position, but why has CF cards now been phased out and they have CFast cards? They look almost exactly the same. Well, the CF card uses what we call a parallel ATA, and that's essentially the porting system that it uses to get the memory from the card to the actual board itself, or the computer, or whatever your CF card reader, whatever you're using to take the memory off. A 50-pin connector to plug into a source and take all those files off. Then you have the new CFast card. Now the CFast card, what it does is it uses serial ATA, and that's more like the little connections that we have in our computer today. Now you might be saying to yourself, well, Devin, what the heck are you talking about? Serial ATA, parallel ATA? Well, these technologies are just like clothes and your skin. Now, your clothes protect you from, the outside weather, but your skin also protects you from the outside weather. Your skin is a lot more connected to your body. You know exactly where your skin is. You can feel it. It's there. It's really attached to you. But your clothes are not really attached to you. So in this analogy, serial ATA would be more like your skin. Like, it feels like it's a part of you. It is a part of you. And you have parallel ATA, which it's connected to you. It's a part of you, but it's not as strong of a connection as that skin is to your body. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm saying when I say the serial ATA technology in the CFast card is more connected and more woven into the fabric of the actual computer or computing process when you plug it up to something. So when you are able to read and write from it, it's a lot faster because that computer feels like it's one with that device. But that CF card is more like clothes when you put it on your body. The CF card it's there, you can pull stuff off of it, and it's pretty fast, but it's not as fast as something already connected to you it feels like it's almost a part of you. Pulling information from that, something that feels almost a part of you, like the serial ATA, is a lot better than this parallel ATA, which it doesn't really feel like it's a part of you. It's close to you, but it's not a part of you. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about when I make that analogy. Also, parallel ATA is what was used in the older first generation almost-ish computers, when they used those pin contact technology circuits to connect everything together and have everything woven in and out, just connected together in an ecosystem circuitry. It's older technology, and serial ATA is more of that newer technology where you have bigger contacts, meant for a lot of memory to be trucked from one place to another. As a matter of fact, that same SSD technology is in the SSDs that you use for, PlayStations. A lot of people are using SSDs for PlayStations now. External Atmos Shoguns, recorders, all types of things that you can use to truck lots and lots of data and graphics data and technology all at once. Now, SanDisk created this technology over 20 years ago in 1994. So that means, the CF card is about 30 years old. So it has, lasted itself. And it doesn't even feel like 30 years old. I mean, you don't really count, when it wasn't in a camera if you're a photographer. But it probably was in some other technology if it wasn't just in a camera. But that same technology was made in 1994. And so all they did was refine it and improve it for photographers on down the line. And they realized that 50-pin ATA port connection system was antiquated, to say the least, and it wasn't trucking in these 4K files that we're trucking in now at certain megabytes and megabits per second. It wasn't doing all of that for the systems that we're using now, like 5D Mark IVs, the 1DX Mark IIs, and Blackmagics and ARRI Alexas. We needed a new format as the standard. But going back to CF cards, the durability is next to none. Like, in reference to SD cards, the CF cards are, I would think, 20 times more durable. And when it comes to hard drives, it was stated that you could drop a CF card from 10 feet in the air, and it'll be fine. But if you drop the hard drive with moving parts, moving internals, that hard drive disk that spins up, and a lot of modern, technology now, if you drop that from 3 feet, it may not come back. Whereas, you get a good 7 feet on the CF card. And when you're out in the field and you're doing a lot of card swapping, lens swapping, taking cards out of your camera, replacing them, things of that nature, and you don't have dual card slots because Canon, the CF card was one of the most durable systems to have. Now, you can still buy a CF card system, but it's still one of the most durable, portable, compact card systems that you could use for your camera now today. But definitely, CF card is one of the most durable pieces of technology when it comes to memory. Even if it's not 10 times better, it's definitely a factor. Now, the CF card had about 3 different versions. You had the 4.1 version, you had the 5.0 version, and you had the 6.0 version. The 4.1 version maxed out at about 90 megabytes per second. The 5.0 version was just a refined version of that 4.0 version. And the 6th version, which you probably want to own today, maxed out at about 167 megabytes per second with a designation of UDMA7 on it. UDMA stands for Ultra Direct Memory Access. This ultra direct memory access essentially used RAM better to make memory transference go faster. Now, the maximum capacity on CF cards went to about 512 gigabytes, and it had a read-write speed of about 167 megabytes per second. But like I said before, 512 gigabytes is standard today. Like, the maximum capacity for the small cards are about 512 gigabytes. So like I said, it hurts me so bad to see the CF card go, but you can't really find them in stores anymore, and you really have to order them on Amazon if you are actually going to purchase one. Now, with all that being said, you got a 50-pin connector card in this day and age. You're going to have a CF card reader because there's none in the computers. I don't understand why there's no CF card reader in most computers or laptops, but that's just how it's designed nowadays. And it probably wasn't a mainstay format when most computers were designed and most people were using SD cards if they had a certain computer. I don't understand why you never had a CF card reader embedded in the computer. Maybe it was the size, because CF cards are big in reference to SD cards, and I guess everything is about size now. But with the 50-pin connector, you would need a USB card reader to actually get it to your computer. But that 50-pin card reader always caused a problem for me, especially if you got a cheaper one. I always recommend everybody to get the Transcend 3-in-1 CF card reader if you have to have a CF card reader, because even though you're using it for the CF card, you can also use it for your SD card. You can use it for your micro SD card. Anything, all the cards are in one little bay inside the USB card reader, and you don't have to worry about just having a CF card reader for your CF card. You can use it for other cards. So it's like, it's not just for an obsolete card. But that 50-pin connector, anytime you got a cheap one, it was super easy to bend the pins back inside the CF card reader because it was always cheap. If the guide pins didn't line up correctly when you slid the card in there, you would inevitably bend back a cheap USB card reader's pins on the inside and then not be able to send your images to the computer. Then you would have to use a USB to connect it directly to your camera, and it would be a lot slower than any CF card because it's usually a 2.0 port that they had in those older cameras. So even though the CF card was really, really durable, and it still has been durable for me, I still use it on my 7D. Using those pins and those card readers, the cheaper card readers, were never good. I've been using the Transcend 3.0 USB card reader for almost 3 years now, 4 or 5 years maybe, and it's done wonders for me. I haven't had to change a card reader since. Now hold on tight for impact, guys, because we're about to get kind of technical, and we're going to compare the CF card to all the other cards on the market, because chances are if you have a CF card, you're from the old school, you have an older camera, you're not just now getting into cameras, you know about cameras, you know how to use them, you know your own ecosystem for your CF card, all these other things. So let's compare the CF card to the SD card, the CFast card, and the XQD card. We're talking about capacities, we're talking about speeds, we're talking about prices. Now, let's get right deep into it. But for those of you who just want to hear about what the CF card was and its history, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. But we're about to go into it a little bit deeper and find out why the CF card is where it is. All right, guys, so try to remember that analogy that I had about clothes in the beginning, whereas, you know, clothes are not as connected to your body as your skin is to your body. So think about that. All right, now let's start off with talking about all 4 of the cards that are on the market today. We have the SD, we have the CF, we have the CFast, and we have the XQD card. These are all the small form factor or compact cameras that you can get on the market for your camera today, depending on what camera you have, of course. SD cards usually are not as fast as CF cards, but since the CF cards are phased out, they had to have a format that was a little bit better than CF and the SD, because the SDs have held on. They've been around for a long time, and they've held on probably just as much as CF cards have held on. But they actually came up with a new system for the SD card, updated it, actually put some more contacts on the back of it, and now those SD cards are called UHS-2 cards. And if you look on the back, if you have an UHS-2 card, you can see there's like, what, 6 or 7 or 8 contacts. I've never purchased one myself, but definitely there's extra contacts after I did my research. That means you can get more memory all at once to your camera, through your camera, so on and so forth. All right, guys, so we're going to compare all the small size formats to each other to find out where the CF card actually fits in and how it became the phased out one. All right, and to do this test the most accurate way that I can with just information that I'm finding out, I'm going to put all the circumstances kind of at an even playing ground as far as capacity is concerned. And so we're going to use a 128 gig card, because that's, I think, a mainstay for people who are actually using, you know, their camera. They probably want to have a standard 128 gig card to be able to record 4K and not have to worry about going back and forth to the camera. Now, if you have a 5D Mark IV, you're probably running a 512 gig card. All right, so all of these formats have a 128 gig capacity. Now they are all priced out, and we're measuring the speed, and we're comparing all 4 of them. All right, so now after comparing the 128 gig CF, SD, CFast, and XQD cards, I found out that the SD card is now more expensive than the CF card. It also gives you a little bit more than double the amount of speed if you get the highest speed one. And then you also have a price that's a little bit more than 50% of the price, which makes sense. It's a jump, but not that big of a jump. Now, if you go from, that's if you're going from CF card to SD card, because now we have to get off the, you know, CF format, because that's where the world is going. Now, if we go from CF to CFast card, we're looking at a 150% increase in price. Does that mean a 150% increase in performance? Now, I'm starting to like the CF card, but now we have to switch. And I do like the C Fast card as the next alternative for me, but it's just like, okay, for the version 1 of the C Fast card, you're maxing out at about 450 megabytes a second. Then you have a price tag of about 300 and change. But that's more than double the price of the CF card. Are you getting that much in performance? Now we're moving on to the XQD card. Now the XQD card is a funny one because that's the one that Sony and Nikon uses the most. So you have the CF card going to the XQD card. You're looking at about the same amount of memory being trucked as the C Fast card. You got about 400 to about 500 megabytes a second, read and write, and then you have about a 200 and change dollar price tag. I'm like, oh, that's not half bad. So when I look deeper into this, I started to think about it. I said, well, there's a lot of formats that use or sell C Fast cards. There's not a lot of cameras that actually use C Fast cards though. The only main camera that I know that uses C Fast cards, and they're bigger cameras, are Canon and maybe a couple of cinema companies like Blackmagic and other things like that. But there's not many cameras that use C Fast card, which leads me to believe in another thing. That's something we need to think about in another video. Why C Fast cards are only in Canon cameras, and then Canon doesn't give settings to actually use the C Fast cards, and there's definitely a lot to think about there. But let's move on. If you were to use a C Fast card, you would need a C Fast card reader. If you were to use an XQD card, you would need an XQD card reader, just like the SD and the CF cards. So you have to understand how much that costs. And to my surprise, the readers don't actually cost that much. If you were to get an SD card reader, it's $3 to about $50. If you were to get a CF card reader, it's about $10 to $70 or $50, depending on which one you get, because usually all of them are all in one nowadays. And then you have the C Fast card, which it enters in a little bit more expensive, but about $40 to $120, depending on which one you get. Like I said, a lot of times card readers are all in one, so that is included in the price. And then the XQD card, you're looking at $20 to about $70 to read those cards. So with all that being said, guys, this is everything about the CF card that I could really do research on, that I thought was important for you guys to know, to understand fully about what a CF card is, where it's going, where it's been, how it's doing, and all those things. So I'm done with CenturyFX Studios. You guys keep clicking your cameras. If you have any questions, let me know. I try my best with this, trying to understand and exactly get you an accurate summation of what a CF card involving its technology and its history. I'm done with CenturyFX Studios. Keep clicking those cameras again.